Hello everyone, back tuning into our second video. So we've already done Solar Sunday, and you find the video to that on the homepage right now. It's the final Solar Sunday of the year of 2017. As I say, the video for that is on the homepage later on today around 7 o'clock this evening. Solar Sunday will be placed on the Solar Cycles 24-25 updates page. There'll be a written post that goes out as well. You'll be able to get to that via the buttons on the homepage. So check out Solar Sunday if you haven't done so already once you've finished with this update. Reason, by the way, that it's the final Solar Sunday of the year, even though it's only August, is that from next month we start winter updates in September. And of course, we combine all of the solar stuff in with winter updates because it does play quite an important part in the GasWeather's winter forecast. So there won't be any point in doing Solar Sundays for the rest of the year because we'll be doing the winter update. So our next Solar Sunday will be next year in 2018. But you can check out the video, final Solar Sunday of the year on the homepage, and like I say later on, will be placed on the Solar Cycle 24-25 updates page with written posts. So this second update today is our interpretation of the ECMWF seasonal model for the winter of 2017-2018. This is very, very unique content because the ECMWF seasonal model is not widely available. The general public can't see the seasonal model of the ECMWF organisation. I have seen the chart myself. A very kind friend of myself and GasWeather has let me have a look at those seasonal charts, winter of 2017-2018. But they're for my eyes only, unfortunately, and it means that I can't show it to you. I'd love to be able to show you the charts themselves, but if I did that, I'd be in very, very serious trouble with somebody. So I can't do that, but what I am allowed to do is interpret what I've seen. So you're going to get to see my interpretation of what I've witnessed, essentially, from this month's seasonal update of the ECMWF model. So that's what we're going to do for today's second video. Very unique content for GasWeather, and I hope you enjoy this update, and there'll be several more through the rest of the autumn. We'll do them every month up to the end of the year again. We did this last year. There was a little bit of controversy about whether the model had it right really for last winter. I don't think it did too badly, to be honest. A lot of people thought it was a bit of a got it wrong, a bit of a letdown, but I don't think it did it too badly because it was always going for a blocked signal for the winter of 2016-17, last winter. Always had the blocking in place, but it never went cold for us. And as you know, we did have quite a blocked winter for the winter of 2016-2017. It was a very dry winter, a lot of high pressure around. Unfortunately for us, or maybe fortunately, depending on your point of view, that blocking was never in the right position to deliver us cold weather. That was the problem. All of the cold was constantly going into the east, southeast of Europe. At times it did get into Central Europe, particularly from that period, Christmas through to sort of mid-January. That's the coldest period of the winter, really, and at that point, the cold did get into Central Europe as well. It got very, very close to giving us a really bitter spell from around Christmas through to the middle and second half of January, and then of course it all backed off. We went into a more mobile pattern for February, but there was about 3 or 4 weeks there where if things had gone ever so slightly differently, we really would have known about it because it wasn't far away at all, that severe cold weather. So I don't think the ECMWF seasonal model did too badly last year because it did get the correct signal, which was for overall quite a blocked winter, and it also got the correct signal in that we was never cold. It was never at any stage through those updates that we did last autumn forecasting a colder than average winter for us. I was a bit incredulous about that. I have to get on with video, sorry if I'm rambling on a little bit, but I do want to talk a bit about the history of this. So I was a bit incredulous about how we could have such a block winter, but not actually have very much in the way of cold weather, as the ECMWF seasonal model was forecasting. And we saw, actually, how that could happen, that the cold just wouldn't quite back into the far northwest of Europe, but many parts of Europe last winter were locked into the freezer. Anyway, it's up to you what you make of these updates. So I'm going to just get on with my interpretation of the ECMWF seasonal model right now. I'm going to talk a little bit, start off with, about the ECMWF themselves. So this is the website of the ECMWF forecasting agency. Now, you know that the ECMWF issues their model sort of has short range forecasts, because we use those for the videos all the time. The shorter range ECMWF model runs out to 10 days out, and it is publicly available. Anybody can see the charts that run to 10 days away themselves. They also do an ENSO prediction, which we include in our ENSO updates, and again, that is publicly available as well. But beyond that, their model does extend out to sort of 30-40 day time frames. That isn't publicly available. It updates twice a week, and I believe the UK Met Office 30-day forecast, which gets updated a couple of times a week, is based at least partly on the ECMWF ensembles that extend out to the monthly period. And I say that's not publicly available. They also have the long-range model, and this extends out to 6 months out, I believe. And again, that isn't publicly available. If you want to see that, you have to either pay a great deal of money for it, or you have to be a pro Met, and then you will be able to see it via your companies, such as UK Met Office, for example. As I said, a very kind person has allowed me to look at these charts and then to do an interpretation of them. So the first chart we're going to start with is the 500 millibar height anomaly for the winter of 2017-2018. This year I've got my good friend James Ackrill to have a go at reinterpreting these charts, because as you know, as you probably remember, you're watching the updates last year, I'm not very good with my artistic skills. They are a little bit limited, and James is a more creative, artistic person. So big thanks to James for doing this for us. So this is the reinterpretation of the 500 millibar height anomaly for the winter of 2017-2018. And on the face of it, it actually isn't all that far away from the sort of charts the ECMWF was churning out during last year's updates. So let's start up here. This is the North Pole, of course. Well, that's Greenland just there. Then we've got the polar region up here, and then we're going down into sort of Western Russia just there, and of course this is the north of Scandinavia around Svalbard just there. So the red colours here are indicating above average heights within the 500 millibar area, and that is telling us that we have got a blocking signal this month from the ECMWF season model for the winter of 2017-2018. Now, some of those above average heights are extending down into Eastern Europe and through the Mediterranean to North Africa as well. So that was kind of like the signal that we had, if you remember, during several of the interpretations from the ECM season model last month. And then around the UK, and of course this is the UK just here, we've got much weaker pressure. Now, we're not going to below average heights in this area, but we have seemingly got weaker pressure. So you would assume, it has to be low pressure somewhere with all this high pressure going on, so you would assume, although the model isn't going down to low pressure, going down to below average heights, you would assume we've probably got the jet stream and below average pressure running through here. Low pressure is coming through in this part through the Atlantic into UK and western parts of Europe. So with the high pressure up here, or the above average heights up here, you will think we're probably bringing down cooler air into those troughs of low pressure. So as a starting point, in terms of a 500 millibar height anomaly, actually it does look like the ECMWF model is going for quite a bit of high pressure in the northern latitudes, quite a bit of blocking. Now, the mean sea level pressure anomaly looks even more interesting because we take away that rather complicated looking signal, and now this is just looking at the surface pressure. And this does look quite interesting, I have to say. We've got above average heights here centering over Greenland, and they're going down into Iceland as well, but the main centre of the above average heights is across Greenland, and they've got an area of below average heights across central parts of Europe. So you will think that in between those two air masses, we've got to be pulling down quite a cold north to northeasterly wind. That is the Azores High there, above average heights, the Azores High, and that looks like it's being displaced to the west. So that's down, it isn't as far as Bermuda, but it is going down in that sort of direction, if you see what I mean, down there. So it's not as far west as you would probably want it to be, as far southwest as you want it to be in the Atlantic for a colder and average wind signal, but it is a little bit displaced quite a way away from us. So that looks a very interesting chart in terms of the mean sea level pressure anomaly, and the main thing to focus on would be the high pressure anomalously up here to our north, and then the below average heights across central parts of Europe. And certainly for Central Eastern Europe, again, this could be a cold winter if that was right. For us, as ever, it would depend exactly how the trough and the ridge are interacting as to whether we are able to tap in to that cold air from the northern latitudes. But as I say, this is just a starting point. It's only August, so we've got several months to go. And no doubt there'll be a lot of changes as we go along. Although last year there wasn't really. The signal from the model was consistent throughout all of the updates. I think last month it never really wobbled. So I think that, yes, that's quite an interesting starting point in terms of the 500 millibar height anomaly and the mean sea level pressure anomaly in terms of possibly having a colder European winter. However, the temperatures are a little bit worrying again. So this is the temperature anomaly from the ECMWF, or I should say this is our interpretation of the ECMWF seasonal model temperature anomaly. Again, this is covering the winter. This is from December 2017 through to February 2018. And you'll notice there's no blue at all here, so there's no colder than average temperatures being signalled anywhere. The warmest temperatures are up to the north. They're around Greenland and Iceland. That's because we've got high pressure, of course, up here in the northern latitudes. And then going down into the east and the southeast of Europe, the warmest temperature anomalies are there, which is different to last winter, because last winter, of course, the cold was it was brutal cold in the east and the southeast of Europe. At times, we got some of that brutal cold right into Central Europe, but the focus was always from beginning to end to the east and the southeast of Europe. So this is right, it's a little bit different compared to last year. In terms of the UK, our temperature anomalies are coming out just average, essentially. So it's not seeing a particularly cold winter, you can't say that. It's not seeing a particularly mild winter, though, either. It's just seeing average temperatures, or, as professionals would probably call it, climatology. So we aren't deviating either way from the average. But as I say, given the mean sea level pressure anomaly, which is this, that is quite exciting, interesting chart. The temperature anomaly is very disappointing, and particularly for this area just here. Maybe it does make sense for the UK, but for this area just here, with this trough through sort of Germany, Poland, those areas, that area you would have think underneath that trough would be quite cold, and actually the model is just going for either average or even slightly milder than average temperatures. Now, I have to tell you that globally there is a very warm and very pronounced warm temperature profile on a global scale, and this is something that has to be factored in to long-range forecasting at the moment. It is very warm globally. We haven't really cooled down, I don't think, from the Super Nino, not properly. We never got a La Nina, never got a cold event, which didn't bring the temperature of the planet back down. So essentially we aren't at the level of the Super Nino, of course, but we are still at a raised level because nothing has happened really to reduce the temperature yet. So that's sort of the background signal of the model, that globally it is seeing a lot of warmth, and Europe, UK is included in that as well. Finally, we'll have a look at precipitation. So this is our interpretation of the ECMWF seasonal model precipitation forecast. Again, this is covering the full winter period. It's going from December through to February. What we see for this one is that it's going for a wet winter or above average precipitation on the eastern side of Europe. So this area here, that's a little bit problematic because that's drier than average around the Azores and into the Canary Islands down here, and also, of course, over towards Iberia to Portugal, just there. So that does imply high pressure is ridging, perhaps, in this area. That's a little bit of a problem if you want cold weather. Up here, it's quite a dryish signal, really. Yes, there are some wetter areas, example, just there and just there. But overall, I think there's more drier than average anomalies and wetter than average anomalies. So this does imply probably some high pressure up here. Otherwise, not a huge amount to be seen, really. Very weak signal for precipitation, as it often is with these long-range models at such a extended time period. The signal for precipitation will probably get stronger over the coming updates. But really, it's a weak signal for precipitation for many central, western and northern parts of Europe. But the anomalies in terms of the heights and pressure, they're interesting for this first update. Again, all that above average heights to the north, weaker heights to the south of it through the Atlantic into Western Europe. And that's probably the most interesting chart of the four in terms of the mean sea level pressure anomaly. The interesting thing about all of this is that it's very, very similar to what was going on with these updates last year. And I'm a little bit perplexed about how it's so similar to what the model was showing last year. And I know that a few people are scratching their heads about this, that all of a sudden the model for this winter is looking very similar in terms of its pressure anomalies, but also in terms of its temperature anomalies, which aren't as cold as you would think they should be, given the pressure distribution. We know actually the model was right with that, for the UK anyway, last winter, because whilst it was a blocked and high pressure dominated winter, it wasn't a cold winter for us. So that's our first interpretation of the ECMWF seasonal model. Hope you found it interesting. Do let me know what you think. And next month, of course, we'll have another interpretation of the EC seasonal model, and we'll do this going up to the winter. So keep checking back over the coming few months, and there'll be more seasonal model interpretations from the ECMWF from GaussWeatherVids.com for the winter of 2017-2018. Right, that's all for now. Check out Solar Sunday if you haven't yet done so. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.